So we now know what groups are, what frames are, what layers are. Let's draw a couple of shapes. If you ever want to delete something that you've designed or used or demoed, just select that and hit backspace and it's going to be deleted. What I'm going to show you now is what we can do with these options in here. So with a rectangle, you can just draw a rectangle of any size that you want, and you can also always hit R to be able to start the same option, and if you hold shift in a lot of these options, you're going to be able to create a perfect shape. So a perfect rectangle would be a square, and you can see that I'm holding shift, and as I'm drawing, it's not allowing me to go and create like something from a different width. The width and height are always locked to each other. That brings me to the right sidebar, which is called the design panel, and we're gonna go over it a little bit more. But basically you can always see X position, Y position on your canvas in here, and you also can see that the width and height are the same. So even if you started drawing a rectangle like this, and you want to make it a perfect square, you can always go in here and just kind of create the square of the same width and height. And then you can log the proportions of width and height. So if I change this to something else, the width changes as well. So just keep that in mind. Besides rectangles, you can also draw lines. So a line can be something like this. If you want the line to go in a perfect direction, so it's gonna go in 40-degree angles, which you can also see in the design panel on the right. You can draw it with a shift. Arrows are basically lines, but they have an arrow at the end, and the arrow is gonna be you can change it in here again on the design panel into a different shape of an arrow, and you can also make it bigger by changing the stroke width in here. Again, we're gonna go over all of these details a little bit more later. I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit because a lot of my items are actually massive in size, so this is something more more in line with the sizes that you're going to be using while designing. Again, rectangle, we can draw an arrow just to have it in here. We can draw a line to have it in here, and we can also draw an ellipsis. So this is just like an ellipsis. You can always hit O on your keyboard to draw an ellipsis again, like an oval shape. Remember it like that, oval shape. O is the shortcut, and if I hold shift, I'm actually able to draw a perfect circle. I can draw a polygon in here, and on the right design panel I can change what kind of a shape it is, and I can draw a star. I can also change the amount of little triangle shapes the star is made of, and you can also change the ratio in here, so you can see how it changes based on what I entered there. So those are all of the shapes that you would actually be using when you're working in Figma, and that brings me to another point. So basically everything in interfaces we kind of consider around boxes that occupy that space. So if you've ever seen a mobile app, let's just use a size that's appropriate for mobile screens, so maybe something like this. You know that basically there could be an item in here, another item on this side, there could be a couple of icons here on the bottom, and all of those icons like this would be tappable areas. But usually as designers we kind of know that there's going to be an icon inside, but it's always kind of contained in a box. So Boxes are shapes that you're going to be rectangles are shapes that you're going to be using a lot as a designer. Squares too, and circles are other shapes that you might use, and you can combine the shapes into new shapes as well, to create anything else that you're going to need in an interface. I know it sounds kind of weird, like I can create everything with this. Yeah, basically this simple shapes and text is everything our interfaces are made of. So yeah, now we're introduced to the idea of frames, of the different shapes that we can draw, and how to use it to create beautiful designs.